Good morning. It's Wednesday, January 29th. This is Nathan Mark, and I'm going to do the morning session here, share my thoughts, my analysis, and potential trades as well. So we're trading Top Step X. Trading on Top Step X. This is the NASDAQ. Let me clean this up. This is an hourly chart. So unless you've been hiding under a rock the past few days, you know that this DeepSeek AI in China really shook up the markets. So we got a huge gap down Sunday, down all the way to this area, 2773 area, and we've just been kind of crawling back. This is an hourly chart. It is the 8-period moving average on an hourly chart, and what's happening? Well, we're dropping from it, pushing away from it. It's 8:32 in the morning. All right, 8:32 Central Time. And frankly, this is a really great short setup. Now, we do have the FOMC coming out today, their rate decision, but I think it's just about unanimous that the Fed is not going to change interest rates at this juncture. So this is a 5-minute chart, right? Yeah, overnight we did climb up to this area here and we flatlined, which is right around 21,684 on the NASDAQ. And we climb up, kind of grinding up, and then wham, big sharp move down at the open. Now, typically there's going to be some follow through. It's 8:33. I would like to take a short here at the open. I would like to go short. I'm going to put my drawings back on. I hid them for a minute because there's a lot of lines, right? I basically have 2 Fibonacci sequences on my charts here. So on an hourly chart, I've got a fib that measures from this high, all-time high in the NASDAQ, all the way down to the low. And then I have another fib that measures from this recent high down to this low. Okay, so that's why I have all those lines on my chart. Now, 8:34 a.m. This is a huge push down at the open here. Don't want to chase it, but what I'd like to see is a push back up into, here, the 560 area, and then we can short it. Okay, NASDAQ is now down 44 points. Let me show you my think or swim setup here, the internals grid. So yesterday we did rebound in the NASDAQ NQ futures. Basically, mostly flat overnight. There was a big push up. I think we got up to maybe 100 points up. Okay, it's 8:35. When you see this at the open, flush down, flush, there's a high probability there will be follow through. There we go. We're getting that push back up into the 60 area that I was talking about. Let's see. Do we want to take a trade here? Do we want to take a trade here? Sell one? Let's see. Let's go ahead. See if we can get some follow through here to the downside. All right, let's look at our heat map. Ooh, that's not great. Tech getting hammered this morning. Okay, just all things that I'm looking at, right? All things that I'm looking at. So by default, I have a 100 tick stop on all my trades. By default, 100 ticks. So I got the brackets on, the 200-point winner, 100 tick stop. And that's just for protection, and if we get stopped out here, that's totally fine. It's a win if we follow our plan. All I know is that there's a high probability that with this flush down, there will be continuation to the downside. Okay, so that first minute of the next 5-minute candle it pushed up, let's see, maybe he wants to push back up to this, 8 EMA. The Fed decision today, that's a big decision. It is. And while it is unanimous that the Fed is not going to change interest rates, it's still major global economic news. It does not just affect the United States, right? It's global. Okay, so what I do here is I pull my stop in. So now it's a 59 tick risk. Let's see how much this will give us here. Well, this really has to break. This really has to break. It's got to break right here and push down lower, 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 lower. I'll take that. So it's a $192 winner. It's a nice little trade, but I do expect this to go to the downside further. Oftentimes, if I'm trading first thing in the morning, look, the market's been open for 7 minutes. There's that flush. So I often look back at my trades and say, okay, it was a good entry. The execution could have been better because I could have been more patient and waited for a pullback here, which, by the way, it's like a magical pullback to this Fibonacci level here. The fib that we pulled back to, just find this stuff so interesting. So the fib that we pulled back to is the 50% retracement level from this larger, and I apologize if you're someone who's looking at this and saying, what the hell is up with all these lines? Again, I have two Fibonacci sequences on here. From this all-time high in the NASDAQ to this low. This was that big pivot where we pivoted and moved back to the upside. So that's one fib level. This boom, 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 Fibonacci's. And then from this recent high to this recent low, I have another Fibonacci sequence on there, which is this, and this. So we retraced back up into this 50% retracement from this larger move. And look, I just find it interesting. It's really as simple as that. It's just an interesting, it's interesting to see when you put on, any technical indicator, especially like lines on a chart like this. To me, price is respecting it. Okay, so sometimes Fibonacci sequences work, especially on higher time frames, the big, big, big moves where, like I said, we had that all-time high, and then we pushed down hundreds and hundreds of points. You put a fib on there, and then that's a big picture roadmap for just getting an idea of where price might want to push to or push from, things of that nature. Okay, so this is interesting. What we want to see here is like a big flush. It's one of the reasons why with the economic news, which is the Fed decision today, the Fed meeting, Fed decision, with all the volatility from this DeepSeek stuff and technology getting hammered, I don't exactly trust that there's going to be a lot of clean follow through during this morning session. That's just based on my experience, and I could be dead wrong, right? But there's a high probability that from here, after we get that push down at the open, that there's going to be follow through to the downside. There was a little bit, but now this candle did not close red, and we're pushing back up to the upside. It's interesting. I think this is setting up for another short, in my opinion, and we might want to take another trade here. Let's go ahead and go to 1 hour. So this is the S&P 500 heat map. As you can see, like technology services getting hammered for the most part. Netflix is having a good morning, good by, it's up 1.16%. Apple's getting hammered, Nvidia's getting hammered. Tesla is just getting hammered because Elon's doing dumb stuff. So this could be a good short here. Whoa. Hello. Okay, we dropped 20 points in a second, in 1 frickin' second. That's why, like I was saying, I'm mostly treading lightly this morning. Take a trade, scalp it, make $195. That's fantastic. Now this could keep going, 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 going. That's fine. That's fine. But when you see, y'all saw how fast we moved to the downside there. Not even a second, milliseconds, 20 points. Okay, that's not exactly the type of price action I want to be a part of this morning. So we'll keep watching it. We'll keep watching it. Let me pull up my toss charts again here. So this is the NASDAQ. I've got a 30-minute chart, a 5-minute chart, and a 1-minute chart. And this shows different major levels, key levels across different time frames. It shows momentum, where it's going, all that fun stuff. So these purple lines here, these are Bollinger Bands. It would not shock me if we get to the outer limits of the range today. Looking like it's going to be to the downside, but who knows? Lots of momentum to the downside on the 1 minute, lots of momentum to the downside on the 5 minute. We push down to 500. So 480 is a key level. I like the 480. Let's see where this candle closes, and then maybe this is a situation where it closes and we just frickin' flush everybody out, everyone who was long. So I just want to reiterate this setup at the open on a 5-minute chart. Blue line, 8-period moving average on a 5-minute. When price, especially when you see price kind of grind up and then we flush, there's a high probability that there's going to be further movement to the downside. Same thing at the open. If this would have gone, there's a high to the upside, high probability there's going to be continuation to the upside. That's the setup. It's that simple. Took one trade, made $192. So I will be looking back on this video one day and not sure what I'll be thinking in the future, right? Not sure what I'll be thinking in the future, but I hope to look back in this video and say, you had a setup, you had a plan, you executed the plan. Well done. Looks like a good opportunity for a short right here. Maybe we can go out down into 480, but let's see. It's 847. 847. I don't know. I don't know. Like I said, I'm not super trusting of this price action today, but if you go short here at the open, put your stop at the top of this candle, you can put your stop into here, you can put your stop into here. I'm looking at the tops of these candles, right? So the original stop is here. So you short it at the close here, right? Original stop is here. When this candle here closes, you move your stop down to here. When this red candle closes, you move your stop down to here. So it's obviously this is called a trailing stop. And then 848. If you're patient enough, you can just wait for this candle to close, and maybe you end up taking a loss. Or if you're extremely patient, you have the risk tolerance, you wait for this candle to flush again, and you just keep trailing that stop. Price is settling in above 500 here. Let's see what happens. Got down below 500 there on the NASDAQ. The NASDAQ. 850, all you ICT traders out there. The 950 Eastern time, the macro. Here comes the macro. So if you take that opening trade, your stop is here now, and you're basically break even if this pushes up. 500 is a pretty good level to take off a trade, though. There's always another setup. Had I stayed in this is my exit price, 21,544. I could have taken this down to 500 and gotten an extra 44 points. LOL. In all seriousness, it's I can say that I could have done that, and I could have. But the reality is, of course, I did not do that. I did not do that. I took my small win, and I want to see how really the first 30 to 45 minutes of the morning develops. It's just me. Look, I like to get wins early. I like to get wins early. I take it. It's a practice in execution. And I'll admit, I could have stayed in the trade longer. I also could have waited for a deeper pullback up into the 60 area, like I said I wanted to do before going short. And I would have gotten, that would have provided more points as well. At the end of the day, I executed a trade. I did what my mind told me to do in that moment in a positive way. I had a 100 tick stop loss that price was pushing up into. I did not move my stop. I left it. I could have gotten stopped out. We could have been down 500 bucks right now. So all these things is all these things are thoughts that I have after a trade, during a trade, while the market is developing. This could be a short right here in this very moment. And we get one more flush, and you have literally like a 2-tick stop. Yeah, okay, you get stopped out. Why did I say that? Because the price was struggling for a few seconds to get above the high of this candle. And look, man, I mean, so if price doesn't get above this candle when you push further to the downside, that's an indication that price might want to go further down, right? It's not what happened. We pushed higher up. So now what I'd be looking for is, how does this candle close? Do we get to this area and push further down to the downside? Real quick, if we take the opening trade and we stay in it, by staying in it, I mean you trail a stop. We got taken out for basically break even. This is interesting to me. We get close to the 8. We're kind of pushing away from the 8. I took my short. I want to see how much room it's going to give us to the downside. Nice trade. I'm happy with that. Clearly, I do a lot of scalping, especially. I'm here with my daughter, and she's smiling at me right now and talking. What do you want to say? Hi. I wear her on my chest a lot in the morning. Hey. Oh my goodness. She's one of the reasons why I trade. What I was saying, and I'm not sure how this is going to turn out as far as the audio and clipping it together and whatnot, but I like to scalp currently. This is where I'm at because my goal is to get payouts from prop firms right now and eventually build a personal account. Right now, it's using money to pay bills and things of that nature. And so we lock in gains. We lock in gains. Right here, we got price pushing up. This is what I would call a reversal candle. Okay, meaning we push down, big strong push up, a close above the previous candle, and then this candle retraces and we get further movement to the upside. That's one scenario. The other scenario here is we push up into this area and then we drop again, okay, which would mean that there is clean price action to the downside, okay? We push down and push back up. We push down, push back up. Higher highs, higher lows, right? So that's the other scenario here. Potential scenario with the price action. I don't have a crystal ball, obviously. I do not know what's going to happen next. I'm just sharing my view on what could potentially happen based on how price is acting right now. So this is a great. I absolutely love this chart here. We have the 21 moving average, which is the green line. Okay, we have the 8, which is the blue line. So when price pushes away aggressively and the 8 period is under the 21, there's obviously momentum to the downside. Here's a histogram. The red means there's momentum to the downside. Here's ES. It looks like it wants to push up, does it not? And then here's YM. YM is up 5 points. Okay, 5 points. I would love to see NQ bounce up into 21,572 here, that area. Trading above 500 here. As of right now, NQ has pushed off that 8 period moving average here. and is moving down. But with this candle here, these are buyers in here, right? And so if NQ pushes above the 8, then there's further movement to the upside. Let's see what happens. All right, let's watch this. I'll be back momentarily. So what I saw happening here is a potential trap for shorts. Typically what I would look for is a close above the 8-period moving average, and then you go long. But this, I was actually thinking about a short in this area. You know, if I would have executed when I saw price move lower from this fib, that is clearly a level that price needs to get through to the upside if we want to see further movement to the upside. Price came near it and then pushed lower. I was considering a short. I couldn't execute a trade right there. But if, you know, with this candle closing below the 8, you could potentially go short here and your stop would be up here. But it looks like price wants to just take that out and, you know, probably move higher. We'll see what happens. By trapping shorts, I mean, you know, this, like I just said, right? Like you see price move up into a level, it pushes lower. The close of the candle, 5-minute candle, is below your moving average. And so this looks like price wants to go further down, right? But it didn't. It opened and just pushing higher. Let's see what happens right here. So on this chart here, the yellow line is the VWAP. And the yellow on these bars down here, these are different moving averages. Yellow means momentum to the upside. Red is momentum declining. This white line is a zero line, which you'll see on a lot of momentum type indicators. So above the zero line, momentum is clearly to the upside. If we're below the zero line, meaning these lines are below the zero line, there's clear momentum to the downside. On a 5-minute chart, this is really what we want to see turn. I mean, like these lines, we want to see them get above the zero line. If we're bullish, we want to see them all yellow and clearly sloping upwards if we're bullish, things of that nature. So nice push for NASDAQ here. Let's see what happens. ES is making a push higher, clearly. Taking out the high of the opening. See if NASDAQ can follow suit. So ES is in a squeeze now. The red dots here, that means ES is squeezing. So price is in a very compact range. And if this fires, looks like it wants to fire to the upside. I'd like to get better at trading ES or even attempting to trading ES. You know, if you see a setup, go for it. See how this candle closes here on ES. Okay, those are pretty strong close. I could see ES continuing to the upside here. Stop would have to be at 660.85 on ES. Let's see how far we can come in. Whoops. That's a NASDAQ. You see, I've got to figure out my charting. I bought a NASDAQ contract and I sold it because the DOM over here is NQ. So I bought and sold right away. $35 winner there on NASDAQ. Let's see what ES can do. I'd like to see some more momentum to the upside, but not looking good right now. I like that we broke this, but did we just take out stops and then we're moving lower again? Kind of looks like what's happening. Remember, I said I didn't exactly trust the price action this morning. If this starts pushing higher, I'm pulling my stop up. All right, so we jumped into an ES setup that looked clean and we got taken out. Let's see, what's NQ doing? Probably similar. Yep, there it goes. Wow. Wow, we were. What happened? We bounced off to 21, came all the way back in. Bounced off to 21, came all the way back down to 500 basically. Okay. All right, that's it for today. Thank you so much for watching. If you got any value from this or any nuggets, I'm happy. I'm happy. If you don't like what I'm doing here, that's okay too, of course. Trade your way. Think about the markets in a way that is beneficial to you. Thanks for watching. Enjoy the rest of your day.